Bringing up Bates, Carlin Bates' whole family packing up and leaving. The Bates family has never been known for standing still. With 19 children, countless grandkids, and an endless array of milestones to celebrate, their lives have always been in constant, beautiful motion. But lately, change has come in an even bigger wave, especially for Carlin Bates Stewart and her young family. Carlin, known for her lively spirit, easy laugh, and deep love for her family, has always held tight to her roots. Fans of Bringing Up Bates watched her grow from a spunky teen to a devoted wife to Even Stewart, and a proud mom to two beautiful children, Layla and Zaid. Every update, every glimpse into their world was filled with warmth. Dance parties in the living room, sweet family adventures, Carlin's quirky fashion sense, Even's calm support. It seemed for a while like life couldn't be more perfectly settled. But behind the scenes, things were shifting. For months, Carlin had hinted at changes coming. Subtle remarks in YouTube vlogs and Instagram stories kept fans curious. Some thought maybe another baby was on the way. Others wondered if Even was starting a new job. Few imagined something bigger, the entire family preparing to pack up their lives and leave their beloved home behind. It wasn't a decision made overnight. Carlin and Even spent countless evenings talking through their options, praying, weighing what was best for their growing kids and for their future. Living close to family had always been a gift. Sunday lunches, babysitting help, spontaneous get-togethers. But they also had dreams of building something new for themselves, something uniquely their own. The final decision to move wasn't spurred by drama or discord. It was about opportunity, a sense of adventure, and most of all, following where they felt God was leading them. Once the decision was made, everything kicked into high gear. First came the bittersweet task of telling the rest of the Bates family. Sitting around familiar couches and well-loved kitchens, emotions ran high. Some siblings were stunned. Others immediately offered to help. Kelly Jo, always the steady heart of the family, blinked back tears but smiled wide, telling Carlin she understood and was proud. Gil, steady and thoughtful, wrapped her in a bear hug and said, "Home is wherever you and Even make it." Packing up wasn't just about boxing up belongings. It was about saying goodbye to memories. The walls of their home, once blank, now held the invisible fingerprints of 100 little moments. Layla's first steps, Zaid's first giggles, nights spent planning dreams for their family. Each room told a story. Carlin, ever sentimental, found herself taking photos of everything. The empty hallway where Layla once rode her toy car. The kitchen table Even had fixed when it wobbled too much. The front porch swing where they had so many late-night talks about nothing and everything. Meanwhile, the chaos of moving took over. Boxes piled high, labeled in Carlin's neat handwriting. Friends dropped by to help wrap dishes and newspaper. Carlin's brothers, always ready for heavy lifting, showed up with trucks, muscle, and plenty of jokes to keep the day lighthearted. Even the youngest Bates cousins pitched in, carrying lightweight pillows and stuffed animals out to the driveway. In the middle of the mess, Carlin still managed to share glimpses with her followers. Instagram stories showed Even strapping a mountain of boxes into the back of a trailer. "Please pray this thing holds," she laughed, brushing hair out of her face with the back of her hand, clearly exhausted but glowing with excitement. One particularly touching moment came when the family took a break and sat on the floor, sharing pizza straight from the box. Layla clambered into Carlin's lap, chattering about her new room at the new house, while Zaid dozed off against Even's shoulder. It wasn't about the walls or the address. It was about them being together. The goodbye was not without tears. On the last night, after everything was packed, Carlin walked through the house one more time. Each empty room echoed back her footsteps, and with every step came a memory. She filmed a short clip, just her walking slowly, the camera catching the sunlight spilling through the windows, the blank walls, the quiet. No words, no music, just a silent farewell. Leaving meant new beginnings. Even had accepted an exciting opportunity that promised growth and a fresh start for their family. The move also opened possibilities for Carlin's business ventures, giving her a chance to stretch her creative wings even further. They weren't just moving to a new home, they were stepping into a new chapter. Carlin has always been open with her community, and she promised fans they'd be along for the journey. "We're scared, excited, nervous, thrilled, all of it," she wrote in a caption beneath the picture of their packed car. Layla smiling big from her car seat, and Zaid waving his chubby hands. "Change is hard, but it's also so good. Can't wait to show you all what's next." As they pulled away from the house for the last time, Carlin wiped away tears and squeezed Evan's hand tight. Layla sang softly from the backseat, making up a silly song about driving to our big adventure. Evan turned on the radio, and the car filled with music and laughter and hope. The Bates family, ever supportive, lined the driveway to wave them off. A sea of hugs, smiles, and even a few playful "don't forget us" shouts. It wasn't a final goodbye. Family was too important for that. It was simply, see you soon. In true Bates fashion, they weren't just packing up a house. They were carrying their love, their memories, their laughter, and their faith into something new. Home wasn't a place. It was the people in that car, singing silly songs and chasing dreams together. Carlin Bates shares first drive after 2 years. For many fans who have followed Carlin Bates Stewart's journey closely, her recent announcement marks an incredibly emotional milestone. After facing significant health challenges over the past 2 years, Carlin shared the exciting news that she has finally been able to drive again, a task that most people take for granted, but for her symbolizes strength, recovery, and hope. It was not just a regular drive around the block. It was a powerful, victorious moment layered with courage, resilience, and a deep sense of gratitude. Carlin's update on social media quickly went viral as fans flooded her posts with messages of love, encouragement, and admiration for her persistence through one of the toughest battles of her life. To fully understand the weight of this achievement, it's important to reflect on what brought Carlin to this point. In early 2022, shortly after the birth of her second child, Carlin began experiencing unexplained seizures and fainting episodes. These frightening incidents left her family and fans deeply concerned. The Bates family, known from the hit reality series Bringing Up Bates, was no stranger to health scares, but Carlin's condition was something entirely different. The unpredictability of her episodes meant that daily life became dangerous. Simple tasks like walking, cooking, and even playing with her children carried a risk of injury. Driving was completely out of the question. Doctors initially struggled to find clear answers. Carlin underwent numerous tests, MRIs, EKGs, cardiac studies, and more. Every possibility was explored: epilepsy, heart conditions, neurological disorders. Yet her case remained complicated. Each test, appointment, and hospital visit painted a picture of a young woman caught in a battle she couldn't understand and couldn't predict. Not being able to drive was just one of the many freedoms Carlin lost during this time. Independence, spontaneity, and even privacy became limited. Relying on her husband, Evan Stewart, her family members, and close friends for transportation and support was necessary, but also challenging emotionally. Carlin had always been a lively, independent spirit, and these changes forced her to slow down, reflect, and adapt. Through it all, Carlin and Evan were open about their reliance on their faith. Carlin often spoke about how prayer, scripture, and spiritual encouragement carried her through her darkest moments. Evan was consistently by her side, taking on extra responsibilities at home, managing work obligations, and supporting Carlin emotionally through her diagnosis and treatments. Fans watched her social media and vlogs as the couple balanced parenting 2 young children, Layla and Zaid, while also navigating Carlin's health. Evan would often lovingly joke about his chauffeur duties, but it was clear how deeply committed he was to ensuring Carlin felt safe, loved, and cared for. The extended Bates family was also a tremendous source of support. From hospital visits to helping with the kids, the Bates clan rallied around Carlin in a way that showcased the real, sometimes messy, but always heartwarming family dynamic that made them beloved television figures. Over the course of 2 years, Carlin pursued multiple treatment options. Medications were adjusted repeatedly in search of a balance that would minimize episodes without overwhelming her with side effects. She also adopted lifestyle changes, managing stress, prioritizing rest, and integrating therapies that supported both her neurological and cardiac health. There were periods of progress, times when Carlin would go weeks without an episode, only to be followed by sudden setbacks. Each step forward felt like a victory, but every setback was a painful reminder of how fragile recovery could be. Carlin remained transparent about her struggles, choosing vulnerability over a polished image. She posted updates not just when things were good, but also during hospital stays, when tests were inconclusive, or when fear overtook hope. Her honesty created a deeper bond with her audience, many of whom were also walking through their own health battles. In recent months, however, there were more good days than bad. Gradually, Carlin and her doctors began discussing milestones that once seemed impossibly far away, including the idea of driving again. When Carlin finally shared her first driving experience in over 2 years, it wasn't accompanied by glitz or over-the-top fanfare. Instead, it was raw, genuine, and utterly moving. In her Instagram stories and posts, Carlin shared a short video clip of herself behind the wheel, hands trembling slightly but face lit up with a mix of nerves and overwhelming joy. Even sat in the passenger seat, beaming with encouragement but staying watchful, ready to step in if needed. She kept the drive short, sticking to familiar roads and maintaining a cautious speed. But distance didn't matter. It wasn't about where she went. It was about reclaiming a piece of her life. Carlin captioned the post, "I've waited for this moment for so long. Thank you to everyone who never stopped praying for me, encouraging me, and believing that better days were ahead. Today was a small drive, but a huge step." The comments flooded in almost immediately. Messages of congratulations, "We're crying happy tears for you," and "God is so good," poured in from friends, family, and fans across the world. Carlin has been careful to clarify that driving again doesn't mean she's entirely out of the woods. Her health still requires careful management, and she remains under the care of her medical team. She emphasized that she's following strict guidelines, including avoiding driving if she feels unwell or hasn't had adequate rest. Still, this milestone represents a huge psychological shift. It's a return to a sense of normalcy that many people might overlook, but which, for someone who has been restricted for so long, feels almost miraculous. Carlin's first drive signifies more than just transportation. It marks restored confidence. It marks courage that has been tested and proven over months of uncertainty. It marks hope, not just for Carlin, but for anyone facing a long, frustrating road of recovery. Reflecting on the past 2 years, Carlin has spoken about lessons that go far beyond health. She talks often about patience, how healing doesn't happen on anyone's timeline but God's. She talks about gratitude for every small victory and every moment she once took for granted. And she talks about perspective, how hardship reshapes priorities and reveals what truly matters. Carlin also uses her platform to encourage others struggling with invisible illnesses. She reminds people that you don't have to look sick to be fighting a serious battle. She advocates for compassion, patience, and understanding toward anyone walking a path of uncertainty. Her openness has made her a voice not just among her fans, but also within broader communities dealing with chronic health challenges. Though the road ahead still holds unknowns, Carlin's first drive is a chapter filled with hope. It's a reminder that progress, however slow, is still progress. That even when dreams are delayed, they are not denied. Carlin plans to continue sharing her recovery journey, not to center herself as a perfect example, but to highlight faithfulness, perseverance, and community. In a world where social media often highlights only the best moments, Carlin's willingness to share her struggles, as well as her victories, makes her stand out. Her story resonates because it's real, filled with setbacks and heartbreak, yes, but ultimately anchored in hope and triumph. For Carlin, that first drive wasn't just about reaching a destination. It was about celebrating how far she's come and looking forward with a full heart to the many more miles ahead.